Hey, welcome back to Codersaurus. Today we're going to be creating an application in less than 5 minutes. I'll have some time at the end where I'm kind of looking at the application, but we'll go ahead and start our timer here. And before I do that, I'm just going to explain what I'm going to do. I'll be going to the SQL workshop, create a couple of tables, go back over to the application builder, create an application from scratch, include a few pages for my application, and then the timer should stop and we'll review it at the end. Okay, let's get started. Quick start. All right, the first thing we want to do is, like I said, we want to go over to our SQL workshop and the object browser. We're going to create a table. And my application is going to be called task list. Actually, the table is I'm going to go ahead and call it task list as well. Now, normally I would probably call this task, but in this case, we're just going to make sure we have a unique name here. I'll give it a title and some notes, and we'll give it a due date. Click next. We'll go ahead and choose primary key population, and our primary key in this case is our ID. We don't have any foreign keys and no extra constraints, so I'm going to go ahead and skip that. For those of you who are not familiar, you can go ahead and take a look at some of the other blog postings. And customer list is what I'm going to call the next table. And this is going to be a list of my customers. We'll give it an ID as well. Customer name. And that should be good. Click next. Populate from a new sequence with a primary key of ID. And since I'm a little short on time, I'll go ahead and skip the explanation of that. What I'll go ahead and do next is go to the application builder and create an application from scratch. We're going to create a desktop application. We'll call it task list tasks. And customers. And we'll give it a modern red just to be fun. Now I'm going to add pages from within this app creation wizard. I don't have to do that. I can create everything from scratch, but it won't be less than 5 minutes. It will probably be a little bit more if I did that. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. My first table was task list, and we'll leave it as normal. And that, I don't know if you noticed, but I'm picking this option of creating a form and a list, or a form and report. And so report and form, and I'll do one for my customer list as well. All right, so I've created those pages. I think I may have skipped something. No, I didn't. Click next. Copy shared components, I'll select no. And my date format, I usually like to put in a short date. And then for date time, put in the date time with I like the 3-digit month, keeps things less ambiguous. For the timestamp, we'll go ahead and choose anything. And I'll click create application. Now on the server, Apex is churning away, creating our application and a few of our pages. What I'll go ahead and do is I'll show it now, and then I'll make a couple of modifications if I have time, depending on what the clock here on the side says. Now it does take a little bit of time since I'm running off of a hosted Apex, but you can, as I've mentioned before, you can host Apex on your own. It's a free application and it can sit inside the free version of Oracle. So we'll run our application. I've actually already created a demo user, and I did that in Apex. And so by default, Application Express apps use Application Express authentication, but that can be modified to include OAuth and other types of authentication. We'll click Login. And what I'm presented with is a navigation bar. I've got some tasks. I can actually go down and go down into my task lists. We don't have any data here, so I'll go ahead and create a first task: buy groceries, milk, butter, bread. I'm just about running out of time, but you can see our application is fairly complete.